They say it takes a village to raise a child, because children need a lot of different people to look out for them. Families can use all the help they can get. After all, no parent is perfect. That's why McCoy leads the Early Intervention and Prevention Initiative. We want to showcase all of the excellent programs in our city that help families learn and grow together. Because when we learn and grow together, we make our village a better place to live. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy this episode of Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities.
Hello, welcome to Our Kids, Our Families, Our Communities. I'm Latasha Hudson, the Early Intervention Prevention Initiative Director for Marion County Commission on Youth, better known as McCoy. Today, I will be talking to my guests about youth employment. Today, we have organizations like TeenWorks, Keep Indianapolis Beautiful, and Indy Parks and Recreation to talk about how valuable a youth employment experience can be for our children today. Let me begin with them introducing themselves.
Hello, Latasha. I'm Tammy Barney, TeenWorks President and CEO.
Welcome.
I'm Libby O'Neill. I'm the Youth Tree Team Director at Keep Indianapolis Beautiful.
Welcome.
I'm Joanne Pope. I'm the Senior Manager of Community Programs at Indy Parks and Recreation.
Welcome. I want to thank you all for being here today. You know, youth employment has been something of importance to you for many, many years, especially during the summer. It gives them something to do so that way they can maintain, leadership skills, they can be resourceful, and they can stay involved in activities that are going to help them for their future. Many of you are involved with hiring youth as well as finding opportunities for youth in regard to employment. Tell us a little bit about your organizations and how you work with youth and finding employment.
Yeah. Well, for over 36 years, TeenWorks has been utilizing the 6 weeks during the summer to provide a work experience for teens. It's a time for enhancement and growing their employability skills. And recently, we actually expanded to include the rest of the school year because we knew that the opportunities that kids needed, the training that they needed, was broader than what we could do in 6 weeks. So now we're also a year-round youth employer.
Awesome. So tell us about the year-round experiences that TeenWorks offers.
So the year-round experience is really an extension of our career pathway programming. We are really trying to prepare teens for high-wage, high-demand jobs. In Indiana, we know that we're going to have a gap. We currently have a gap of about 1 million jobs over the next 10 years that need to be filled. And we believe that pipeline, at least a large part of it, sits in our high schools today. So we want our teens as prepared as possible to have the knowledge and the exposure to what those career paths may be. And so we're using the school year to do that.
Awesome. So Libby, tell us about Keep Indianapolis Beautiful and youth employment.
Sure. Well, Keep Indianapolis Beautiful has been around for over 40 years as a nonprofit here in Indianapolis. We do a lot of greening around the town, so we make pocket parks and do litter cleanups, but also we plant a lot of trees. And then we decided about 13 or 14 years ago that we needed to maintain those trees at a better rate. So we started the Youth Tree Team, where we employ about 70 high schoolers during the summer, and then again on Saturdays in the spring and fall, to water and mulch the trees that we've planted throughout the year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you generally probably get a lot of youth that are excited about maybe STEAM careers, science,
Yes,
technology.
Absolutely. It's a really great place to explore those careers. We have enrichment days that we go out into the community and find green jobs.
Awesome, wonderful. So Joanne, tell us about Indy Parks and Recreation. Everybody knows about summer camp counselors, but I know they offer other opportunities as well.
We are going to hire approximately 450 different positions this summer. We have camp counselors, lifeguards, summer food people, and then we have a few other odds and ends like gate attendants, facility people, things like that.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Well, we have 211 parks, so we have to get them staffed.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what's the age range for the youth that you may hire this summer?
We start at age 16 and anything over 16.
Wonderful. And I don't think I allowed an opportunity to ask you as well. Tell us, Tammy, at TeenWorks, what's the age range you work with?
Yeah, so we hire teens who are currently in high school, so you have to have completed your freshman year, so roughly about 15, and as long as you're still in high school, and sometimes that's 20 or 21. We actually operate in both Indianapolis and Indianapolis and Muncie, and we will hire somewhere around 500 teens over the summer and the year-round program.
Wow, That's wonderful. And Libby, what's the age range you work with as well?
It's similar to TeenWorks. We also do, you just have to be currently enrolled in high school. So.
That's wonderful. And we'll provide the information on how they can access the jobs at your organizations later in the show. Tell me, what would you say is one of the benefits of working while in high school?
Well, it's going to be a huge benefit here come in about 2021. It's going to be a requirement. One of the requirements to even finish high school is to have work experience. But for us, we've seen work actually boost students' overall confidence. It better prepares them for college. It helps them to really decide, have more information about the career paths that they ultimately choose. And so for me, what I've seen is our students just become better overall, ready to enter the workforce.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they are much more prepared to enter the workforce after having a job in high school. It definitely gives them a place to come and learn soft job skills in kind of an open environment that's geared toward youth, so it's a good place to start.
And I would agree with what they have just said. I mean, their self-esteem soars. It gives them some financial stability. I think overall it just makes them a more rounded person.
Wonderful. Well, you know, there are those great benefits, but there could be drawbacks as well. Can you tell us a little about any of the drawbacks that you've that has been demonstrated in the youth that you've been employed over the summer?
I would say probably the biggest hurdle for our teens has been transportation, getting to a job. That is sometimes the one sticking point that will often lead to them losing a job or not being able to keep it. They'll have to make a decision to leave it because of the transportation. But we do at TeenWorks try to alleviate that hurdle for them. In the summer, we provide the transportation, and we're now trying to figure out a solution to transportation during the year-round program as well. I'd say that's probably the biggest hurdle.
Okay.
We have the same experience with the reliable transportation. In the summer, we do partner with Indigo, and they all get free summer bus passes. But for the Saturday work in the spring and falls, reliable transportation is a huge hurdle for them.
And I'm sure that's probably the same for you as well.
It is.
Okay. And what about the teens that are involved in your programs throughout the school year? You know, some of the drawbacks that may align to that may not be in the area of transportation, but, you know, ensuring that they maintain grade point averages that, you know, will deem successful later on, making sure that they also are, you know, getting up for school because sometimes they can be tired, and just, you know, getting all their homework done. So what would be some other drawbacks to working during the school year?
We've tried to design our program around those kinds of potential challenges. So studies show that work hours exceeding 20 hours per week really start to compromise academics. And so we don't allow our teens in our programming to work more than 15. We try to keep it right around 15 to 18 hours. Now, when they're on breaks or, you know, fall or spring breaks or around the holidays and they want to work more hours, that's typically allowed, but we will not allow them to compromise their academics, because at the end of this tunnel is usually a scholarship that they can probably earn through TeenWorks, and their GPAs need to be strong for that. And whether they're going to go to work or not, those are things that employers look at. They want to still see that you had good attendance, and so your attendance can't suffer because you have a job. And your grades can't suffer because you have a job. So we try to make sure that we built that into our program, that teens understand you have to do both well, work well, and also your schooling.
Fantastic. How prepared are the teens for youth employment with your organizations? And have they had an opportunity to share with you how they got prepared to apply for the position and maybe even possibly interview? And I know I was terrified when I was 16 and I had to interview for my first job. I didn't know what to expect. So when they told me to tell them about myself, I was like, I'm in high school. So can you tell us a little bit about how youth have been prepared for the jobs with you?
You know, honestly, and I'm sure my colleagues will agree, when we first see them like that first year, they don't come in very prepared at all. And that's not the expectation, because all of our programs exist to help them with that preparation. But when we see them in the second and third year, then the bar starts to raise. We all work a lot with teens to help them with build their resumes. And at TeamWorks, we do a mock interview every summer. So they may not have been really sharp that first year, but by the second and third year, we start to see, again, that confidence has risen. And they have a prepared resume then. They have some things on it. They know that they can achieve. They know they have some skills that they can perform. And so it's much better after that point. But coming in, usually, pretty green.
Awesome. Anybody else like to share?
Well, I think I would encourage youth to also put volunteer work that they've done, if it's with their church, babysitting, mowing yards, because they want to stand out. We get hundreds of applications. And so people that have more job experience, especially like working with kids or handling money, and they don't put that, they just put their name and submit their application, sometimes they're overlooked and they could be wonderful people. But like I said, we get hundreds of applications, and sometimes those types of people who don't put anything down are overlooked.
And do you have steps in place for those individuals that may have gotten overlooked? Like, is there someone that's available to maybe follow up with them and maybe encourage them to get involved in your program so that you can help them later on with resume writing and the application process?
We typically don't turn a lot of teens away who meet our qualifications. We look for a 2.5 GPA coming in, good attendance. We do a light interview, and we ask for them to complete an essay that kind of speaks to what a summer job or a job would mean to them. You have to start in our program in the summer. You can't just enter into year-round. But we have seen teens who come to our program for maybe a year, and they do one summer with us, and then they're able to go somewhere else and get a job, and they come back and they say, what I did with TeamWorks was really helpful. I was so prepared. I knew to wear a tie on my interview, and they remarked about my handshaking and that kind of thing. So I think even the 6 weeks work that we're able to do with teens does make a huge difference. Those may be tips that they have not received anywhere else. So it makes a difference. And we don't really, I guess because we don't turn a lot of teens away, we don't necessarily have a referral. We always encourage people to come back. I mean, if you have 1,500 kids applying for 500 jobs, you have to turn some folks away, but we encourage them to come back. It's usually not because of an interview at all.
Yeah, we have a 3-step interview process, and they get volunteer hours by just applying with the tree planting and a tree watering as well. And then we have a light interview as our 3rd step. And I would encourage anyone that doesn't actually get the job to contact me, and we could speak further as to why that might have happened. So
That's wonderful, and that's good to know, because a lot of adults, they have no idea that they can follow up with the employer as
Absolutely.
well, you know, to find feedback that, you know, may encourage them for later on and help them later on in the future.
most definitely.
If a kid calls me and says I didn't get the job, I'm going to hire him anyway. I'm going to appreciate that tenacity.
Right, that's wonderful.
Communication skills.
Yeah, that's
Right. And you know, and they should be awarded for that. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of incentives being persistent and showing some assertiveness when you actually want something. What's some incentives for being a part of your program? I know many of the employment opportunities are paid, but what are some other incentives?
Yeah, so they are paid, and every year that you come back, we actually give you what we call a retention raise, and because you actually have acquired new skills, so we pay kids anywhere from 75 cents to $1 more on the hour for every year that they come back to TeenWorks. During the summer, to encourage great attendance, any student who achieves perfect attendance receives a $100 bonus at the end of the summer. They also, we reward the Employee of the Week every week with a $20 cash bonus off of our teams, and that's for demonstrating good character and leadership, hard work on your team. And then at the end of the summer, each team selects a most valuable employee, and that employee receives a $100 bonus as well. So they can essentially earn another paycheck during the summer for coming to work, being there on time, showing good leadership, and those kinds of things. And then the other kind of intangibles, I guess, you know, financial literacy training, the resume building, the professional development skills are all things that they get as a benefit of the program.
Wonderful.
As I said before, it's a 3-step application process, and they can gain about 8 to 10 hours of volunteer experience with a local nonprofit for just applying to the youth tree team. So that's something they could put on a resume for a future employer. We also have a weekly evaluation process that at the end of the summer we give them a certificate of completion for these soft job skills that they've attained in the 7 weeks with us, and then bus passes, and they get a free lunch every day as well for coming.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We also give an incentive if they come back year after year. We also have incentives if they have some college experience, so that additional money. So if they've been to college after a year or two, they may get an increase. We also provide uniforms, and they also receive bus passes and a letter of recommendation at the end of the summer.
That's awesome. I'm going to sign my son up for all three. Can he do all three?
Keep him working.
Keep him busy. We've talked a little about the benefits, the incentives, the drawbacks, and how this can encourage youth for their career opportunities in the future. What about the parents and guardians? What would you see as the role of the parents and guardians in this process?
Well, because most of our teens are under the age of 18, we have to have parental consent for them to work, and then a release for media, because we do a lot of taping and that kind of thing. But for a parent to support a teen in their work journey, I mean, we still need the parents, because they're teenagers, right? And somebody needs to give that swift kick sometimes to get out and make your bus by 7 o'clock. So that kind of parental support is very, very helpful. We do try to make sure that we maintain communication with the parents about all of the events that we do at TeenWorks, so that, teens just overlook things. There's a parent who can say, hey, there's going to be a financial aid workshop at TeenWorks this week. You need to be there. And we want parents to be there and kind of receiving the same information with teens.
We have a little bit further of an approach with the parents. I obviously appreciate any kind of supportive parent that we can have, but I really enjoy working with the teen that I have employed and want to help and encourage them to be the one that is dealing with me. So if things pop up, that I would prefer to hear from the youth rather than the parent. So.
We also would like to rather hear from the youth than the parent, but I think the parent can help making sure that the child gets to their job on time, and I think the parent can also help at the beginning of the application process, helping them go through the website to fill out the form and that sort of thing. But I don't think they need to be calling and complaining or updating or any of those types of things.
Yeah, it sounds like you encourage the parents to allow the youth to grow and develop in this process. Because those are skills that they're going to need in the future. At some point they're going to be in college or in their career. And they're going to have to learn how to communicate with their employer, their supervisor, and it begins now.
Absolutely.
So I want to commend you all for the work that you're doing, and we thank you for that. Finally, do you have an evaluation process? I know you talked about the youth that come back year over year. What your evaluation processes look like to ensure that the students are going to be successful, not only in your program, but for the future?
So we have a number of outcomes that we track. We do both pre and post surveys with all of our teens, and we're looking for changes in thinking and in behaviors. That your confidence or your knowledge about college and career has actually changed as a result of having this experience. That you feel more knowledgeable about particular career paths. We give students Myers-Briggs, strong interest inventory, strength finder. So we use a lot of tools that help teens learn both more about themselves and what they might be kind of have a more natural bend to for their careers. And so we like to track and see how has the needle moved in terms of their knowledge.
Wonderful.
We also do pre and post surveys with our youth, and then we've implemented recently a weekly evaluation process that we call our TRACK system, and it specifically evaluates their teamwork, respectful behavior, active engagement, accountability, and communication skills. So those are 5 of the soft job skills we really value.
Wonderful.
And then we do it at the end, an evaluation, and then we try to do a mid-season evaluation as well. And it's then we also, for the day camps, we do a 5-minute kind of a quick evaluation. It's just a half sheet, just to check in to see how they're doing, how they're relating to the kids, how they're relating to their coworkers, those types of things.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So both of my colleagues just tapped on something that I actually just triggered something for me. We hear a lot from employers about employability skills. And so we use some tools internally that track kind of growth and looking for students to demonstrate proficiency, so going from kind of early stage to proficiency, and they receive an actual document based on their observations from their supervisors that they can then attach to their resumes at the end. but also we're working in conjunction with Employee ND and McCoy to create a badging system that we all can use that demonstrates to local employers that these teens have gone through these great programs and that they're ready, they have employability skills, and you should at least interview them. So, and that's something that we're kind of all working together in conjunction.
Absolutely. And the other thing that you're all working together with a lot of organization is Congressman Carson's upcoming Youth Employment Fair.
Yeah.
We'll provide information on how the youth can get involved with that. And that's coming up in March. Yep. So you'll be there,
we'll be
representing for your organization. So along with McCoy, you know, we're looking for those opportunities to encourage our youth so that they can be healthy, independent, successful adults. So I appreciate you all taking the time to talk about all these great things. Before we end our show today, can you tell us a little bit about any volunteer experiences that, you know, maybe our parents or guardians would like to get involved with? I know we talked about youth employment, but sometimes our parents want to get connected as well.
So volunteer for us, so TeenWorks, our mission is to empower teens to achieve excellence in college, career, and community. And so volunteering in this community is a huge part of that. We have at least every quarter some volunteer experience that is aimed at the teens, but parents are always welcome to participate in. And then in the summer, we do just a large community day, and we allow teens to choose programs or initiatives that are near and dear to their hearts. And again, anybody from the community is welcome to go out. Last year we served over 23 different agencies in one city, in one day.
I know I had the opportunity to actually go through the mock interview process and interview some teens and review their resumes, and it was awesome. I wanted to hire all of them. I wasn't in a place to do so, though, but it was great that they had that experience with me. And I learned a lot about the organization and about the youth.
Great. Keep Indianapolis Beautiful is actually the largest volunteer organization in Indianapolis. We work with about 18 to 20,000 volunteers every year. So starting up in March really is when our volunteer